The day that you think you have it all together and you have nothing learned to grow is probably the day you should leave our field, because the kids on the other end of your stupid decision of that will suffer.
Having a growth mindset is hard. It was hard work. You had to go, you had to learn, and then you had to implement that with students who weren't used to it.
The day that you stop learning, so will your students.
100%.
100%. So why?
Yep.
Why? Let's address that. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us on today's Tools for Success podcast. I am joined with some of my team from Tools for Success, and I'm going to go around and let them introduce themselves. Let's start over here. Do you, Jesse?
Jesse Purvis, been with the company for 4 or 5 years, Vice President of Research and Development.
Okay. Jesse, tell us how you came here. Minister, like how you got here. How many years in education is what I want to know.
Oh, goodness. Graduated from Wabash College in 2010, got right into education, got into admin pre-COVID, did all of my admin stint during COVID, and then through that, got signed up with Tools for Success.
Right. Clearly the smarter move in his life, but that's beside the point.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Magaya. I have been with Tools for Success for 5 going on 6 years. I did 20 years in education, 10 in the classroom, 10 in administration. And after COVID, decided that maybe I needed a change and was pursued by Cathy and ended up with Tools for Success. I am currently the Vice President of Relationships.
And Jana.
Hi there, I am Jana. I am an educational consultant with Tools for Success. This is my second year, full year with the company. This is actually my 31st year in education. So my first 14, I was teaching, and then I moved into administrative, Title I, AP, all that kind of stuff, instructional coaching, that kind of thing. And then I felt the need to do something else, and I really wanted to work with teachers, so I felt called to be with Tools for Success.
Yay! And I say that because that so leads right into what we're going to talk about today. We meet regularly as a team. Those of you that have watched this podcast for a long time know that I was thinking about that today when I was talking to another guest on another podcast, and I am now in my 45th year in education. Because I consider what I do still in education. Absolutely. Although I'm not in a brick and mortar building, I'm absolutely still working with educators every day. But 45 years, I know what some of you are thinking. It's because I started at 5. That's why. That's why I look so young, because I know you were thinking that. But anyway, I surround myself with really smart people. And so when we were talking about this podcast, and I asked them to come on, and they graciously agreed. I don't know how thrilled they were, but they graciously agreed. I said, what do you wish that we could talk about? And they said this topic. This episode, we're going to explore what it really means to build a school-wide growth mindset from the teacher's perspective. Teaching is never finished, and what that really means. So when I say growth mindset, I want you all to ponder on that for just a minute. When I say growth mindset, yes, I asked them to be here. Voluntarily asked them to be here. When I say growth mindset, there's a lot of teachers that watch this podcast. What is it in a few sentences or so that you mean by growth mindset? Whoever wants to go first.
I'll always jump in. You'll have to quiet me. I think that constant improvement, that feeling of, I know I can always do something more. I can always explore further. I think the mindset can't just be something that we are expecting from our students. It has to be something that we expect from ourselves as well.
Love that.
I think that also implies, you have to have an end goal in mind. Like I think about the students, like the idea is to graduate high school, the idea is to get to college. So like there's a roadmap to get there. Sometimes with teachers, it's like, what is the end product there? What is the finish line? Or am I teaching to retirement? I think that kind of like that foreshadows a little bit about growth mindset within teachers that I'd like to talk about later. But the idea also too of like, hey, what are your goals? Fortunately for me, I always had like a 4 or 5 year goal. Like I want to be in administration, and then I want to do this, and then I want to do that. And so I always had a roadmap.
Teaching is not an end goal.
No, teaching is not an end goal. And so that's part of what helps with the growth mindset within a teacher is like, where do you want to be?
Perfect.
And I think also really being open to working with administration in a way that says, these are my end goals and this is how I would like to get there, and working with the staff, whatever school you're at, to get to those goals. I think that's extremely important. And I don't think sometimes teachers actually see that. They don't have a vision for that.
Yeah, and I think, because I'm going to answer my own question, it's the reason I created Tools for Success. When I was a teacher, I didn't know it then. I know it now, that I was very, 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 very blessed to be in a school community that promoted professional learning. It's just, there was never, ever a year that we didn't have an opportunity to go to and I'm not just talking a one-off conference, because those are lovely and those are, but as you and I both know, they don't change things.
Right.
I mean, you might come back with a cool little trick that you're going to do, but it's not going to change things. But the school that I was in, I don't think I understood then that they understood growth mindset.
Right.
Because what they told me is the day that you stop learning, so will your students.
Amen.
And I remember thinking, because college tells us, we've got our degree now. We went to the state.
ready to go.
We're ready to go forever. So
I'm a professional.
only.
I'm a professional
If
now.
only.
I always laughingly think too, and I'm sure you all could tell your stories, but I remember it's kind of like the very first day I brought my daughter home from the hospital, and I remember thinking, they just left us with this kid. Like, they just sent us home. Like, where's the manual? Where do I
we
go
know
to
what
page
we're doing.
6? Because they're screaming now. And I remember thinking, this isn't a puppy. This isn't a cactus. This is a living, breathing thing. And I remember that first feeling in my classroom.
Yes.
Walking in and thinking, oh man, if they don't get it, it's because of me.
Absolutely.
And I didn't know then that I was in a school that said, but I got you. We're going to continuously give you more opportunities for learning. So you only have to know what you need to know today. I'll take care of tomorrow or next week, next month. So that's where I really want to focus this conversation on.
Thanks so much for joining the Tools for Success podcast. Every school faces challenges, things like disengaged students, overwhelmed teachers, and leaders stretched far too thin. At Tools for Success, we've been there too. Our team of licensed administrators and former teachers partner with schools to turn those challenges into growth. Through tailored professional development, we help teachers build confidence, leaders feel supported, and students thrive. Because at the end of the day, student success is what matters most. It starts with just one conversation. Schedule your complimentary consultation at toolsforsuccessindy.com. Now, back to our podcast.
How do we help teachers understand? Because I think the other thing that I want to pigeon this off of is teachers have choices now.
Absolutely.
Back when Stephanie or you, the three of us were turning, buddy, you started a school, good luck. You weren't leaving.
Nope.
Once you had so much experience, you became in all essence untouchable.
Yes.
You became untouchable. No one would touch you. And now you can go wherever you want to go as a teacher, and especially depending on what you teach. So I think to be in a school that doesn't encourage growth mindset as a teacher, I'm going to tell you right now, run. 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 If your school is offering you no professional development, I know some of you as administrators are going to watching this and you're getting mad right now. My invitation to you is there's a QR code, call us. We'll get some support in your buildings. Because what we know is the schools that we are in, the teachers are staying.
Absolutely.
100%.
100%.
Data
So
showing
why? Why? Let's address that. Because everyone watching this, there are administrators and teachers watching this thinking, I got a college degree. I know how to, I've been teaching second grade for 22 years. Leave me alone.
They need to go talk to a teacher who just graduated from college, because that teacher does not feel that way.
That's right.
That teacher does not walk into a classroom today and go, I can do this.
They know they can't.
They know that it's so much harder than how it was presented to me in college.
Amen.
And it is. And I think that teachers who are in environments where they are feeling like there's a growth mindset are feeling supported, period. That word alone, that's why teachers stay, because it's a hard job.
It is a hard job.
No matter where
That's
I
right.
do it, it's a hard job.
No one's arguing
But
that. Right.
if I'm supported, it doesn't feel quite so messy.
What does support mean, though? Because I've seen schools where the leadership, they support the people by being the sounding board, or they support the people by listening to the complaints all the time. So what is support? And I'll sort of answer that question for myself when I go in and working particularly with a veteran teacher, because I'm no shame here, I'm the youngest one in this group with the least amount of the experience. So like, what in the world am I doing?
We're no shame. We wish we were you.
We were.
What am I doing telling veteran teachers about growth mindset? But the idea here is that you go in there, and what I see with support with veteran teachers is like you celebrate what they're good at, and then once you gain that rapport and that chemistry with that veteran teacher, hey, I've noticed this is an issue right here. What are you trying with this? It could be classroom management. It could be just that after lunch period where the kids are crazy, because good luck with any sort of teacher handling that class.
It could be that student.
It could be that student. It could be just
Differentiation for the veteran teachers is sometimes difficult.
We have to.
Or we switch curriculum. Oh, if I got CKLA in my room now, like,
Right.
what? This isn't what I thought I
Right.
should be doing.
We were learned from college, get up in the front of the room and just talk.
You have
Just
a book.
talk. You
follow
have
your
a book,
book.
open it and teach it.
Yeah.
And it's just not that anymore. So sorry we interrupted you.
No, basically the idea of figuring out what's the teacher good at, using that as the momentum to bridge into, hey, what are these other areas? I've noticed this. Have you tried something here? Or just letting them talk for a little bit. They're veteran teachers. Goodness gracious, a veteran teacher likes to hear themselves talk.
And I will say that is something that I see missing, is that nobody is talking.
No one.
Nobody is talking. Like
I
the
think
teacher's not comfortable talking.
That's
the
a value
administrator's
with
not
us
giving. Yes.
in the building, because we may be presenting on a certain topic that's been chosen or a pathway that's been chosen. But once the teachers get to know us, they will bring other things that they need support with to you. And those are some fabulous conversations.
a lot of growth in those
A
conversations.
lot of growth in those conversations. And it also triggers me as someone who's educating to bring in things and ideas on topics that are interesting to them.
Yeah, I think there's a fallacy. I've done so many of these podcasts that especially teachers have, and I don't know where it comes from. I really don't. That because you went through college and you got a degree and you're a teacher, that you have all the answers.
It's because we think people expect us to have all
We
the
do.
answers.
Well, they do.
Well, they do.
Well, they do.
Yeah,
they do.
Fall into like the cliche, like I hate bringing this up, but the idea, what is it? Those who can't do teach,
And
and
those
those
that
who can't
can't
teach.
Yeah, what
Teach PE. So I always found that, like, especially with me sort of having imposter syndrome, because I went, this is the second time I'm going to name drop my college, but Wabash College, like one of the things they advertised to 18-year-olds out of high school is like, hey, 1 in 8 graduates are going to be CEOs or general managers of their own company. So like, but I came from there with a teaching degree. So no way am I going to be a CEO or like general manager of my own company. I'm a teacher. So I think there's part of this idea too of like feeding into the cliche, not that particular cliche, but the stereotype of like, hey, I'm a professionalized teacher. I have my professionalized license. I got to act like I have it all together.
Correct.
And then if I don't have a good principal who's supporting me in those first 3 years, then I'm on the pathway to an untouchable because nobody's telling me.
Correct.
Nobody's setting up bumper rails or
Right.
guideposts for me to follow.
Correct.
And there's a recipe for the wrong growth mindset.
Yeah, and I think you've got two different kind of teachers sitting in buildings today when it comes to growth mindset. It is those that are too scared to ask, and those that are too scared to ask because they know what they're doing is wrong.
Yes.
Their data screams that it's
They don't
wrong.
wanna know.
They don't want to know.
Yes.
It's kind of like why I always laughingly say that men don't go to the doctor. You know, it's a running thing of I know that something's wrong, but I know if I go sit in front of that doctor, there's no denying this anymore.
I think that's why it's so important that we ask questions.
I do too.
You know,
I do
I've been
too.
in your classroom. I've observed your instruction.
This is what I've seen.
I've saw this. Let me ask you some questions and let's talk. And once we get into those deep conversations, they start seeing, oh, I can improve. I can grow here. Let's see what we can do.
Yes. Yes.
And I also think that for years, like I'm not in my own, again, because I said this in my own district, I just didn't even know.
very supportive.
I assumed that every school was getting the level of professional development that I was receiving until I went to a second school and they didn't know who Heidi Hayes Jacobs was. And I thought, what rock have you been living under? You can't not know that. But they were honest. And I appreciated their honesty. And I say, well, you all have heard the story that it is in that moment that this company was born because I was angry.
Yes.
I thought that is unfair that a teacher is expected to teach the same kids without any of the same tools that I have. It's not fair. It's the reason that this company exists. And every time you all go into schools, because I don't do the what I call day-to-day work every day as much as you all do, I know that a kid's life is different because you all were there. And not because of we have some secret magic bullet that we're going to go get a school. We're going to go help them grow. So how would you address a teacher that is sitting here listening to this podcast saying, yeah, but I know my building's not a growth mindset. Let me tell you the last professional development I've had. Wait a minute, let me think about it. Never. And that was 15 years ago. What would you say to them?
Thanks for listening to Tools for Success podcast. What if 1 minute could change your day? A Gentle Walk, the new faith-based journal by our founder, Cathy Tooley, offers one prompt, one prayer, one small step closer to God. Start your Gentle Walk today. Learn more and get your copy by visiting Warren Publishing in the link below. Now back to the podcast.
I'm going to jump in because the World Cup's on right now, and so I've been geeking out over this idea of I don't know when this is going to air, but Portugal played yesterday. Portugal's got Cristiano Ronaldo, and one of the things that was very apparent in this particular game is that the 11 Portugal players were not playing like a team. They were playing like 11 individualized players, and they weren't getting opportunities. They tied a team that they shouldn't have tied against. It wasn't Panama and Ghana were in the afternoon, but I don't remember. It was basically a team that wasn't supposed to work. And if you looked at that team's defense that was playing against Portugal, they were locked in. Nobody was making a mistake, and Portugal just couldn't get a chance. Well, you had a stud like Cristiano Ronaldo or these other guys who can take on a person. I mean, they were making great moves on individuals, but they weren't able to finish. So for teachers that are stuck in a building, I kind of equate that to Portugal. It doesn't mean there's 22 bad teachers in the building.
Amen.
It's just that you're not meshing well together. And something that I find that's like a signal for us that I know I'm doing a good job in the building is like, oh, there's a couple teachers, like let's say everybody's pushing back. We've got a group of untouchables that we're working with, and they're just sitting in the back of the PD checking emails or grading papers, like
wondering why you could teach them anything. They're so
I've
smart.
got an appointment here.
Can I go?
Right. Don't let them be the noise, because what you're doing is you're reaching into 2 or 3 teachers, and if you keep working with those 2 or 3 teachers, you literally see the growth start to happen in the building, and more teachers asking, hey, I saw you had success with that. Oh, I didn't realize that we could do that. I didn't know we had permission to do that or anything like that. And it just kind of starts with the idea of like nobody's working with one another. So hopefully you've caught that extension from the
definitely.
Portugal.
I mean, I have no World Cup reference here, but
I got nothing. I got no World Cup reference. I got nothing. Nope.
but I will say that culture, if you are that teacher who you are saying to yourself, okay, I hear what they're saying, but how do I make that happen? And maybe I have those other great teachers in the building, but none of us are comfortable enough to be the one that starts this trend or that starts this momentum. Then I would say to them, go slow. Go slow. It's okay to go slow. You don't have to, eat an elephant in one bite. Go slow. Set some specific goals and say to yourself, I'm going to do this year. I don't have to do it all
What
this
if we
year.
get supports in this year for just that?
This.
That's it.
Yes.
I know we have so much. And I will say, and then Jana, you're next, is I always say this, and this will not fly with some of you. So again, remember, if you put nasty, hateful comments that are mean, I'll just delete them. So, but it's this. The oldest teacher isn't necessarily, hear what I said, isn't necessarily the best teacher. They can be. They absolutely can be. But just because you're a brand new teacher walking into a building and I'm sitting beside Stephanie, who's been here for 20 years, that doesn't make her better than me. As a matter of fact, I probably am walking in with new skills as a new teacher that she never learned.
Oh,
Not because there's anything
let me
wrong with
build
it.
on that.
Yeah.
So in the last school that I was teaching in at grade level, I was the oldest of 8 on a team and considered a leader. of course. But I will say I learned more my last 2 years from the mentee I had in student teaching, who became a member of the team because she had been trained in things that I had not been trained
Never
in.
heard of it.
One of those was differentiation. I learned everything I know about differentiation from that teacher, and she was just out of college.
Right.
So sometimes we need to look at the younger set who have a different skill set. The skill set is totally different. So I think that's really, really important.
You know, my dad used to have this expression, which is, be careful when you're drinking from somebody's cup, whether there's rust in it or not. And I never understood what that meant, but it's so apropos for what we're talking about right now. And that is, when you're first married, you look to married couples. Well, everybody's got an opinion on how to have a successful marriage. But my dad's point to that was, look for people who have marriages that you respect. I have a girlfriend that's been married and divorced 4 times. She's a lovely woman, but I don't think I want marriage advice from her. She clearly has not success. We've been married now for 40 years. If I want parenting advice, I'm going to talk to a
successful
parent who has raised children.
Sure.
And teaching is no different. So, but we don't do that in teaching. If I'm going to speak to a teacher and I want their support, advice, I'm going to look at their data. How successful are the students in their room?
Absolutely.
Because if I know that I struggle with classroom management, it's just not my strength, I'm going to seek out a teacher who has great, I've observed it, I've seen it with my own eyes. My kids are running down the hallway as if they wouldn't know what a line was if it bit them. And this teacher, I swear, I think they've been in the military. I don't know what's happening, but if they love her, I'm going to seek out that. So my dad always said, be careful what cup you drink out of. And I think it comes back to this. Again, that's why we're talking about growth mindset. I think it comes back to this, but what is it you want? And for a teacher, to me, your goal should be your student success.
100%.
Bottom line. It's your student success. It's
And
not
not the students
popularity.
you had 10 years ago.
No.
It's the students you got in the
Right.
classroom now. Like
Today.
I said, the goal is to get those students across the finish line.
That's right.
And that should be your goal
That's
every
right.
year. It's not for you to get to day 180,
That's right.
collect your paycheck, and then move
At
on.
year 22, so I'm now only 6 more years or whatever from
Exactly.
retirement. Yes.
Well,
I
and
also
don't
wanna
hang
make
your
sure we don't
hat.
say that that's all academics either.
Oh,
When we
absolutely.
say that, that's social
Yes.
emotional,
Yes.
that's
Mhm.
relationships.
Yes.
Everything.
It's just being successful as a human, not necessarily,
Yes.
the top student in reading or math
Right.
class.
You want to learn how to have relationships? Find a teacher that's got
Yes.
great relationships.
Yes.
Yeah.
And don't hang your hat on that one year that it was a really tough class and you did great with it. Well, that's fine. And kudos to you. But every year, if you truly have a growth mindset,
Amen.
then every year you're working with, regardless of who you have in your class, easy, hard, it doesn't matter. They're all children. They're all able to learn, and they are all
100%.
children of God who need
Amen.
you at that moment.
Amen.
So you should be working toward that
Be
every
your best.
single year. They get
Agreed.
one shot
Agreed.
at this
Say
school
that all the
year.
time.
Yeah, you get one shot at 3rd grade. So make it the best that you can possibly make it. And if you don't have a growth mindset, you will not.
No.
You
No.
will not, because
No.
you'll be doing it the same way
No.
you've always done it, because you don't think you need to change.
I think a growth mindset for educators, I think of, I own this company. Obviously, I run it. It's my baby. But it is, if without you all, it wouldn't be here. If it wasn't our team meetings, we get together 4 times a year. I walk away from them sometimes frustrated as all get out because I wanted to go this way. I thought that's the way we were going. Everybody said that's the way we were
And
going.
then there's Jesse.
And then I always tell my husband he'll say, how'd the meeting go today? And I'll say, frustrating. And I'll tell him, what happened. And he'll say, but darn it, they're right. They're right.
That's
And
a growth mindset.
That's a growth mindset.
That's a growth mindset.
That's
Yep.
it. I
It's
could
okay.
run this company without you all,
Oh,
but I wouldn't be as
absolutely.
successful without you all because of a growth mindset. I know more about running a company. I've been doing it now for 11 years than any of you do. But you all are in the field. I'm not. So I can't run a company that talks about supporting teachers in a field for which I'm not in. I'm doing speeches from stages now. I'm talking from podcasts now. I'm not with the very people. So
Can I share a story?
Yes,
real quick?
please.
So COVID, everybody was making changes up the wazoo. And one of the things I did was sort of basically commit career suicide. And one day I was going home, Mackenzie, my wife, said, "Hey, I think the principal who I work for would hire you at your admin salary right now to teach third grade." So I have taught middle school, ELA and social studies at this point, AP literature at this point. I found my niche in 10th grade because we had the iLearn in Indiana at that point. So that's like, oh, this is easy. Sure, I'll go down to third grade. Like, I can do this. This is a cinch. I jumped down there, and for 3 weeks, I came home every night like this was the worst mistake I ever made. I should never have done this.
Exhaustion.
But it was in a weird spot because I was the third grade teacher those kids had that year. So like there's some sort of morality to me that says I'm not going to jump ship. Well, fortunately, with that growth mindset, it's like, but wait a second. The exact same pool of kids I'm seeing find success in my neighbor teacher's room. What's he doing? And fortunately, I had there was somebody, and I had to swallow a bit of humble pie because remember, I'm going from admin down to third grade teacher, if you want to follow that ladder. But the idea is she's like, "Jesse, I'll take your class for 2 hours. Just go and watch Trev work in his room." And when I watched that, it was like, oh.
That's how it's done.
And so like you have this, I would say teachers have growth mindset when you have that sort of entrepreneurial spirit in your brain as well, where you're saying, "Hey, I am not finding success and I have to succeed because this is my job. Where can I go and just try to mimic it?
Absolutely. How do I get better?
How do I get better?
How do I get better?
And just reach out to the people because there's nobody in the building that's like, no, screw growth mindset. I'm not gonna allow these kids to grow today.
Right.
So
Well, they
I
won't
won't
say
give
it
you
out
2 hours to
loud.
go do it.
They won't say it out loud.
Oh yeah, there are some.
But the
bad
work
eggs.
sometimes will slow a teacher down and to the point where they're like, "I can't do this anymore." Because having a growth mindset is hard. It was hard work. You had to go, you had to learn, and then you had to implement that with students who weren't used to it. And so it's hard to do, but
And as you said
You do
before, sometimes they are learning a whole bunch of information.
Yes.
And they need to know you can slow down.
It's okay to
pick
go
the
slow.
pieces you want to start with. And then be very obvious with those pieces.
Right.
Tell your administrator, talk to the teachers about those, and really focus in on what you're going to do this year or this semester. And then move on later.
Yeah, I think it's critical, absolutely critical for teachers to understand the day that you think you have it all together and you have nothing learned to grow is probably the day you should leave our field.
yeah.
Because the kids on the other end of your stupid decision of that
Yes.
will suffer.
Absolutely.
Will suffer. Will suffer. And I think that is what will keep us forever as a growing company because we too, I believe that's the health of this company as we too have a growth mindset. We're often looking for things that are different. And I know people watching this will go, "You mean chasing the nearest trends?" No, it has nothing to do with chasing trends. It has to do with realizing that the students that are walking through our classroom today are not the students that walked through my classroom in 1980, whatever. Yeah, I know back in the 1900s. Somebody said the other day, I know. I was teaching in the 1900s.
Yeah, we were
Yes.
teaching in the 1900s.
We were teaching. I was.
Yes, Jesse. Thank you.
And you know, it's so funny when I look for people for this team,
I
for this
wasn't
company,
either.
I look for growth mindset. I don't care about how much experience you had.
Right.
I care, do you understand that you don't have it all? And that you are constantly learning and constantly growing.
Thanks for being a part of the Tools for Success podcast. At Tools for Success, we believe every student deserves a classroom where learning thrives. That's why we partner with schools to equip teachers and administrators with practical, research-based professional development that makes a real difference. From mastering classroom management to building data-driven strategies, our programs empower educators with tools and confidence to transform challenges into success. The result? Engaged teachers, supported leaders, and students who are prepared for the future. It starts with one conversation. So let's chat. Go to toolsforsuccessindy.com and click on Schedule Conversation, and let's see what we can do to help your students thrive. Now, back to our podcast.
Teachers, as an administrator, was one of my oldest teachers because she knew that there was always something new to learn.
Amen.
And her students, she was, you talked about the teacher who you thought was in the military. That's how she was. I mean, she had control of her classroom. Her students absolutely loved her. And it was because they knew that it was safe and it was okay to not know all
Amen.
the ansers. She
I remember-
didn't know them all, and they didn't know them all.
I remember as a young teacher, I had 2 veteran teachers that I respected a lot. And I can remember, I was a high school teacher, so we have passing periods, walking out to the hallway to them and saying, "Today I bored myself." And I don't know how to do that differently. It's direct object pronouns in Spanish. If you got anything better, and I will never forget what Susan
When I
Leonard.
taught high school English, it was the same way.
So
It was just like,
Oh, Lord. And Susan Leonard, I will never forget her. I hope she's listening to this someday. But she said, "I'll tell you what, when do you have first year Spanish again?" And I told her, and she said, "I'll come in and teach it." And that's a growth mindset. And I'm not saying that to toot my own horn. I'm saying that I knew what I was doing wasn't working. And when I watched her, it's kind of like you said, watching that teacher, I thought, oh, now that's good. Why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think of that? And I think we spend too much time on the why didn't I think about that, and rather I'm just going to do that.
I'm going to try it.
Can I
need
add
to try
that?
it.
Fake it
That
till
is-
you make
Fake
it.
it till you make it, buddy.
Attempt.
Yeah.
And they may not be successful
That's
attempts,
right.
but attempt.
Exactly. And don't be discouraged when they aren't all successful.
Yes.
It's
And I'm
okay.
never going to teach it just like Susan did because I'm Cathy.
Yeah.
But I took away so many things from that. But that's the sad thing about teaching. You're in a bubble.
Yes.
You walk in a room and you close the door, and that's that.
Yeah.
And I think professional development, and I'm not saying this because I have a company, and I'm saying it because I have a company,
Sure.
is the game changer. It is the thing when you could bring. I have principals all the time when I'm on the phone with them, and they'll say, "Cathy, what do you think makes such a difference in your company?" And I always say, it's because you bring the smartest and the best of what you have out of the isolations of their rooms into a collaborative meeting with us, and they are unstoppable. That's
right.
I think that's why highly functioning PLCs work, because you get to come together and say, "Look, I've got this student. And I've tried everything I know. Help. I am not
Yes.
reaching them,
Yes.
not getting them," that we promote in our schools that we work with. So I think that happens. Okay, as we start to wrap this up, what is it that you want people to walk away? I'm going to go to each of you. So ponder this question. Why do you think it's such an important message that you send to not only the students, but to the parents of your building about having a school that is a growth mindset school? What do you think that message is?
We want to send a
to
message to the parents.
Yes, parents and
Oh
the
boy.
students.
Can I
There's a
jump
lot of
in?
things
You
I want to say.
absolutely
I can
Can-
jump into
yeah,
it.
can I jump in?
Yeah.
I think parents need to understand that, we'll start with parents. I think parents need to understand that if your child is not taking any risk at school,
Struggle bus.
then that's a problem.
Yeah.
And if your child, there are so many parents who expect their children to have straight A's. And that's the expectation, period. If my child is going to school and getting all A's on every single piece of material that
They're
I
not
am
being
giving them,
challenged.
they are not being challenged and they are not learning new things. And so as a parent, you need to shift your mindset and understand that growth is key. It's all about growth.
about growth.
And the students and the teachers all need to become comfortable with taking risk and failing.
I had
Because
this-
that's your
I had
best
this
learning
same
moment.
I was at a family reunion last week, and I had a conversation with a second cousin about a child not being on honor roll. And I said, but how did she grow during the year? Where did
Right.
she start and where did she end? That growth piece is extremely important. And it's important that our parents understand that. It's important that our teachers get that. And that, I would love every child to make straight A's. But if a child is growing and they're achieving their goals for the school year, I am excited about that child. For me, it's not about AB honor roll. It's about growth.
Not about achievement, it's about growth.
Yes. Yes.
Amen. Jesse, what would you add to that?
I'm a parent of a 6-year-old just got our first report card from kindergarten, and she had all 100s and then like a 95 in religion. It's like, what?
Do we need to have an intervention?
What are we having a 95 in religion with? I find myself as an educator and as a parent constantly in a struggle of like growth mindset. But then like, I want my kid to be the best. I want my kid to be the best. And what are those signals? And so that's where I'm going to speak to parents about. There's a book I read my wife and I were in foster care, and in Indiana, one of the ways you get training hours is that you can just read books. So Poe Bronson's Nurture Shock, which basically the premise of that book is looking at a handful of meta studies, and it's what's parent intuition say and what's the data say. And so like oftentimes what I want to say to parents, like, hey, your intuition's not right. You got to take in the right signals of what you're seeing and then work from there. So like if I've got a kid who's got all A's, I may see that as signal as my students doing well, but like, what is the signal that you're getting when they're not doing well? And once again, is there a promotion of growth mindset? So what I say to parents is like, hey, the A is not the signal. The A is not the signal. And I'll speak to, there are a couple times I towed the line of not passing certain things in college. And fortunately I went to a school where like when you hit the ground, the faculty was there to pick you up, but they didn't give you the answer. They told you, hey, go down this path. Let's see what you find down that path. Professor Rosenberg, all these, Dr. Pittard, all these people, they didn't show me, hey, here's what you need to do. They just said, go this way, see what you find, explore that, and then we'll talk later. So there's a lot there, but to parents, the A's not worth it.
Yes, it's all about growth.
Yeah, and I think it's a message that we send from a school.
think so.
So
all
thank you
about culture.
guys for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For being a part of the conversation. And we're going to do another follow-up podcast about what growth mindset means from an administrative chair, which will cover many of you, again, double dipping with you with teachers. So thank you for being a part of it, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.